Good morning, everybody. Delighted you're joining us this morning for our webinar with Avant Money. You're all more than welcome on this glorious morning. We're just talking, I think the weather in Carrick is as good as it is around the rest of the country. So Adrian and Dallas, we were just catching up on that, but beautiful weather here today. So hopefully it's nice where you are too. So this morning's webinar is on building and nurturing workplace culture, and we're delighted to be joined by Dallas and Adrian, and they'll do their own introductions shortly, and obviously Niamh is there in the background as always from WSI. And I suppose the context of this webinar is that Avant Money have been very successful at the CCMA Awards for the last number of years and have won Contact Centre of the Year Medium, and delighted this morning they've made themselves available to talk about how they have been building and nurturing their workplace culture. And I think particularly in the current circumstances of the difficulties of some people still working remotely. So that's what our topic is today. As always, we will be recording the webinar. We will be sharing a version of the presentation, but we do want to make it as interactive as possible. So please do send through any questions, comments, observations, any insights you'd like to share yourselves. I know some of Dallas and Adrian's colleagues are on board too, so welcome to them as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Dallas. Thank you again. I'll come back in at the end as always and bring through any questions, and thanks a million. Enjoy.
Thanks, Dorothy, and hi everybody. Thanks for taking half an hour out of your Friday to come and listen to myself and Adrian. I hope you get some takeaways from the next 25 minutes or so. So to introduce myself, I'm the Brand and Communications Manager for Avant Money. I've been with the organisation for 18 years now in a number of roles. I did spend quite a number of years in the contact centre world, and more laterally in my current role. And look, as Dorothy said, it's a beautiful sunny Friday. We're on the eve of a little bit less restriction over the coming weeks. So, you know, it's a good day, the start of summer. So I hope you're all in good form. So sit back and enjoy the chat for a few minutes. So look, as Dorothy said, we were thrilled to win Contact Centre of the Year, in particular last year, and we were highly commended for our response to COVID-19, and that meant a lot to us. We were just thrilled, and we're happy to share some of the initiatives that we've run over the last 12 months with yourselves. To give you some background with some of you who aren't familiar with us maybe, we're in Ireland lending for almost 25 years now, initially as MBNA. We're headquartered in County Leitrim, and you know, thankfully the business is going from strength to strength, in particular following the launch, our launch as Ireland's newest mortgage provider last September. So we've been busy. About just shy of half of our staff work in a contact centre environment in terms of dealing directly with customers, and the rest of the staff, the rest of us are the supporting act, and that's so that we can offer really great value credit to Irish customers and make sure they have the right service to support them once they're on their way and they're a customer of ours. So Adrian, go to the next slide for me. So this slide just shows that journey. So as I said, we launched in 1997 as MBNA. Would you believe we started off selling credit cards for MBNA US, selling cards to the American market. I think they liked the Irish accent. So we were so successful at that, we launched into the Irish market, selling credit cards to Irish consumers shortly after that. Over kind of 10 years past, we were bought by Bank of America, and we had a great 6 years with them. They were a global bank, and they brought lots of innovation and to the organization. As part of, I guess, the downturn when Bank of America decided to scale back on their out of America organizations, we were sold to a private equity company called Apollo, ourselves, and actually there was an Avantcard Spain and Avantcard Ireland for a number of years, and we managed the existing customer base for a couple of years before returning to the market in 2016. We then brought our first partner on board, Chill Money. We purchased the Tesco credit card portfolio. We partnered up with Avant Money for their personal loans and credit cards. I'm sure you've seen their advertising around at the moment. And then more recently, we were bought by our new parent company, Bank Inter. They're a leading bank in Spain, and they've just been fantastic. And they're a key partner to our current growth, and we're really looking forward to continuing to work with them. I've mentioned the launch of mortgages last September, and then just there at the end of March, so very recently, we rebranded the rest of our Avant card, credit card, and personal loan business. So we've had a busy 12 months among all the COVID-related activity. So today we're going to talk to you about how we build and nurture a great working culture for our team, and Adrian's going to talk about some of the initiatives that we use to achieve that. We know that we can't go into a huge amount of detail in 20-25 minutes, so we're going to touch on some of those. We're going to not focus on the theory of the strategies, but actually just sharing some practical initiatives that have worked for us. Our contact details will be on the last slide, so absolutely reach out to us directly. We're happy to have a call with anybody if there are any of those initiatives that you want to talk to us about in any great detail. We're absolutely happy to do that. So I'll hand you over to Adrian now, who takes the lead really for an awful lot of our wellness and culture activities, and he's going to share some of those best practices with you.
Thanks, Edith. Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. Hope we're all keeping well. My name is Adrian Gurn, and I'm a HR business partner at Avant Money. In terms of my career, I'm with the bank since Bank of America days, quite a long time, 15 plus years now, seen a lot of different things, and really like today to talk about our workplace culture. Conscious time, just to share for my very first my favorite quote around culture, a guy called Simon Sinek, you may know him. It looks culture to be like the wind, so it's something that's very powerful in your organization. And we at Avant Money feel that culture plays a key part in terms of keeping our employees engaged and looking after employees, and also bringing the business forward. There's some tangible links between organizations that have high trust levels and positive culture and business performance. So really, over the last 12 months, we've been through the pandemic. Sorry to say that word again, but the culture has almost been the wind in our sails. It's brought us forward as we navigated through the choppy times of the pandemic, and as we go forward as well too. So really a big advocate of workplace culture and what it does for the business. Suppose the seminar is called Building and Nurturing Workplace Culture. In terms of building, I want to show you in terms of how we actually, first of all, measure our culture. Culture can be intangible, but I think it's important that we actually look also to measure our culture, which is actually on the slide here. If we look at, for the last number of years, we have partnered with Great Place to Work since 2017, and we run an annual survey. It's called the Trust Index Survey, and that measures your engagement levels, our employee engagement levels. So it's important that we do that. So back in 2017, we decided to partner with this company, and we started off on a trust level of 57%. And over the last 4 years, we've actually built our trust levels up to 81%. So that's been really powerful in terms of doing that. It took some hard work, it's week after week, month after month, year after year, and we've worked across the business in terms of improving our employee engagement scores. That's something we're really proud about. It's really important that we've done that in terms of both looking after our employees and also bringing the business forward. As Del mentioned, we've had quite ambitious plans to grow the business, particularly with the launch of our mortgage business last September time. So having the focus on trust has been really important. Also, what underpins actually our our culture is our values. If you look here at our corporate values, these are actually launched back in January time, and they tie into the Avant Money brand. So we have 5 key values. We have teamwork, simplicity, be daring, caring, and trust. And I think if you think about what's important for workplace culture, to me, caring is so important. You need to look after your employees, especially during these current times. Also, trust, having high levels of trust is really important. Communication plays a key part in that, which Alice will come to afterwards, and also teamwork. So culture doesn't sit with one person; it sits across the whole company through different stakeholders. So on the theme of teamwork, I'll just look at in terms of how we work as a team and building that positive workplace culture. So if you can imagine, I suppose, building a house, the first thing you do is put in your foundations. So I see the senior leadership team and also the HR team is important in building those strong foundations. And then I suppose then the bricks and mortar, the building blocks, are the culture teams. So we decided early on to have culture teams in place, These are volunteers across the business. They're very much a diverse and inclusive group. So we've employees from both our Dublin and Carrick office. We've employees from our contact centre areas, non-contact areas, and also too we've employees at the minute who are working remotely and some back in the office. So it's a very diverse group. This team, what they do is they look at different initiatives and what practices they can bring in to make Avant Money a better place to work, and those are inclusive for all employees. So we make sure whatever we do, if it's through the lens of it has to work for everyone and it benefits everyone. So very much looking after employees and helping them to flourish in the workplace. I suppose one of the fun things being part of the team is that they get to pick their team name. So our first team were founded back in 2016. They're called the Cultivators. The idea was to cultivate our culture. The next team were the Advocators. They're much for advocates for our culture in the business. And then the current team are called the Navigators. That came about based on the idea of navigating through the times of COVID-19, and as we then navigate then into the new way of work for the future. Great teams, to be honest. Worked with all of them, really good teams, really positive teams, very motivated, very committed. I want to make Avantcard, I suppose, a better place to work and foster that positive workplace culture. The current team, you'll see there, the Navigators, their current focus is on our work environment, virtual culture, and wellness. So I will say, I suppose, for me as a HR professional, it's been a key learning is to have a team engaged, that are embedded in the business. They have more impact and can deliver initiatives for you in a better manner, rather than HR constantly preaching around certain things. So this has been really successful, having a culture team in place to drive out any culture initiatives. So again, if you're looking at your culture and organization, do engage a team like this. It can be very effective and we find it very beneficial, and hence our survey scores have shown that, and our engagement scores. Okay, so what does the team do? That's a good question in terms of the impact of business and activities. So we'll do is I'll give actual flavour of some of the activities launched over the last 12 months or so. These are just some activities. I can't go to them all today. But you see there from the slides, the team are very good at going out and promoting things. So their kind of tagline is Navigators making you aware. So we'll go back, getting in feedback from the survey and from our workforce, getting that feedback in, looking at the ideas, evaluating ideas, and then rolling out the ideas, and then they feed it back to our workforce to different communication channels. At the bottom there, you'll see some of the activities. One of my personal favorites is the monthly podcast. That's actually an interview with a staff member. It's done by one of the Navigators, John, who's excellent. He's got previous broadcasting experience. And it's a 15-20 minute informal chat, done virtually, of course, and talk about the person's career at Avant Money, their own personal life, things like, where they've been in the world, where they've traveled, how they're coping with the pandemic. So it's a really nice, intimate way to get to know someone and kind of fosters that so the idea of social well-being, which is a big thing at the moment in terms of social well-being, trying to stay connected. So I find it really heartwarming to listen to an interview from a colleague I've not seen in months and months, on my break, plug in my headset, and off it goes. It's really great to do that. Other things include, I suppose, competitions to create a bit of fun and camaraderie. It's obviously a bit different in a virtual world. Recently we had an Easter competition for family members and for staff members. Christmas time would have had the best decorated desk, be it virtual or in the office. Christmas jumper competition. And actually, one of my favorites, one of the most popular ones, was the staycation competition, which we ran last summertime. So last summer, we were fortunate to be able to do inter-county travel. So we encouraged our workforce to take pictures of their holidays, send them in to us. Got them some great shots there, from the cliffs of Moher on the west coast, all the way to Donegal, to Dún Laoghaire Harbour on the east coast, down to Wexford and South Coast. And then the winning pictures would have got a nice voucher then for a future staycation in Ireland. Other ideas include, actually current one is the STEP challenge. So we're trying to get Avantcard moving again. It's actually been really successful. I was actually yesterday in the contact centre and I was speaking to a colleague from socially distant. She's actually stepped on a call. She was standing up doing a call and doing her steps. So it shows the healthy competitive nature across the business. And another one is Avant Hub, which is it's a Teams page in MS Teams where we store everything to do with our culture, be it our culture audit, our practices, our special offers, and any wellness information. Power and Move, I'll discuss in a few moments under the umbrella of wellness. Okay, so another group that plays a key role in our culture is the citizenship group. This group look after our CSR program. So we're really proud to make an impact in the community in which we live in. We have two corporate charities. We have the Northwest Hospice, who are based in Sligo, and then we have the St. Vincent de Paul, who are a national charity. I suppose pre-pandemic, we would have done some volunteer hours. We've now shifted more to doing virtual fundraising events. On a monthly basis, we actually donate €500 and €250 to two charities through colleague choice, where our colleagues or our employees nominate different charities or organisations, and we're delighted then to write a check or send a payment to one charity. Myself personally, I was able to donate €500 to local Meals on Wheels back last April, which is fantastic, made a big difference in the community. Other things we do as well too is around sponsoring different activities, different events. I suppose two of our main sponsorship deals at the minute will be with Leitrim GEA, which is next door to us, and the stadium is called Avant Money Park Shaw McDermott. We also do sponsor Sligo Rovers, who are a League of Ireland soccer team. They're currently actually top of the league, which is great to see. So it's great to have our logo on their jersey, and they're doing really well. So that's Sligo Rovers. And last year we would have raised a total of €8,000, which is pretty impressive in a pandemic environment and in mainly a virtual world last year. Okay, so promoting workplace well-being, something that's really, really important in my opinion. So this is really one of the key foundations of your workplace culture is your well-being program and your well-being processes. So I think as a company, it's important to look after employees in both the good times and not so good times. And we know from the last 12 months, we've had some challenging times. People have gone through a lot of change, both from a personal perspective and also from a work perspective. And that's where well-being comes to the fore. We need to have the hat on at all times to look after our employees. So what we've done is we've partnered with Keep Well Mark, which is an IPEC initiative. And this is a standard in what's workplace well-being. So companies that demonstrate best practice in the areas of health and well-being get the Keep Well Mark accreditation, which can be used in terms from a branding perspective and also communicate to your employees. It looks at well-being across 8 different areas, all the way from absence management to mental health to physical activity. It's quite a detailed process. So we're proud in 2018 to be certified as the very first financial service company to achieve the Keep Well Mark. That was fantastic to do that. Really was great validation that the wellness initiatives we do are recognised externally and add value to our employees. It's a two-year accreditation program. So as part of the process, then you look to improve. So you get some really good feedback and then look to improve on your wellness processes. Back last year, we would have been assessed again, and I'd like to say we became the first company in Ireland to be re-accredited with the Keep Well Mark. So that was fantastic, both from, I suppose, a business perspective and also for our employees. Okay, so this time in the presentation, we do some movement and exercise. So normally we get you to stand up. Today you can relax. We don't have time for a movement activity, but something we brought into our recent kind of manager meetings is taking 3 or 4 minutes, halfway point, get up and escape your chair. So if you want, for the next few minutes of the call, you can stand up, escape your chair, give yourself a posture break and give your back a chance to stretch out and loosen out. But this slide here shows actually our, I suppose, lifestyle portal. It's called Advantages, and this is something we have for both our customers and our employees. There's different aspects to the lifestyle platform. We have lifestyle savings, which is online discounts for shopping and cashback offers. We have a learning portal for courses, different courses. We have a wellbeing portal, which looks at different wellbeing pathways. You can do a questionnaire, a survey, and then just recommendations on how to improve your wellbeing, and also different seminars and blogs. And then the most recent thing we added, which was the Move module. So Move is trying to bring movement back into your life. It's on-demand fitness. So in the past, we would have found I suppose back in the office, we would have ran different on-site classes. We had to pivot away from that based on the pandemic, and we've had this new module now called Move. There's things called Deskercise, which are kind of really bite-sized, 3 to 4 minute, I suppose, videos you can play, do different exercises at your desk, be it breathing, meditation, stretches for your neck, your shoulders, that kind of stuff. Also for more vigorous stuff will be Pilates, HIIT workouts, and then yoga then for more gentle exercise. That's something we're looking to promote amongst our workforce and bring wellness back into people's lives. Okay, so the key part of wellness is around, I suppose, mental health and looking after the mental health for employees and also social well-being. I think Lea Healthcare actually on the call today, we're delighted to partner with Lea Healthcare in terms of offering our employee assistance program. This is in place for a number of years now, so it's got real value, especially during these current times. It's a 24/7 service to all employees and also to dependents over the age of 16. It offers things like counselling services, legal advice, financial advice, and life coaching. Something we always promote, and we signpost to employees that support is there if they need to get support. It is confidential. We've had some feedback from employees they found it really beneficial in terms of going through some difficult life events. That's helped them to cope and move forward in their lives. Again, our managers are our key assets across the business. So in terms of supporting our managers, we run annual mental health training for our managers. Again, run by a qualified psychologist expert, and that helps in terms of identifying signs of poor mental health and then how to signpost down our managers to support our employees to deal with any issues. Actually, next Friday is actually National Workplace Wellbeing Day, and as part of that day next week, we're going to have a seminar on building resilience for our managers and also different seminars throughout the week around the area of wellness and mental health. And I suppose one final thing for me in terms of both well-being, just a final activity is really important, I suppose quite topical as such. We think of ergonomics, it's really the study of how you sit. Really important during the pandemic. We would have had a traditional office-based environment, both in Carrick and in Dublin. Then we pivoted overnight to having 250 employees work from their own homes. That brought challenges and risks, but from an ergonomics point of view, at the very start, we ensured that employees were educated in terms of how to set up their workstations. We provided the appropriate chairs and the appropriate desks and monitors. And that's really important to protect your employees' musculoskeletal health and also to protect your business from a health and safety perspective. So guys, in summary, hope you found that beneficial. I think as we move forward, just a closing comment, I think as a business, the challenge is going to be adapting to the new way of work. I guess, how do we preserve our workplace culture going forward? That'll be a challenge. So just so culture, like the wind, it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. So Dallas, I'll pass back to you to go through the communication strand, if that's okay.
Sure, thanks, Adrian. And look, in the interest of time, I'll try and keep this to maybe short to 4 or 5 minutes, just to allow a couple of minutes at the end. If any of you have been feeding questions into Dorothy, we're happy to answer them here or follow up afterwards. So look, underpinning all the great work that Adrian has talked about in terms of building and nurturing the kind of workplace that we want to work in and all of our colleagues want to work in, is a great internal communication strategy. So it's fantastic to do all of this good work, but actually, if you're not communicating it to everybody in a way that makes them feel truly engaged and valued, you'll struggle to make a tangible difference. It's very important to us, and this is led totally by our CEO, Chris Ball, from the top down, is to keep everybody informed on what's happening in the business, how the company is doing, what our immediate and longer term plans are, and really so that people understand and feel a part of the company and the key role that they play in the success of our organization. As communications manager, I have a very clear brief to ensure that, all of my colleagues don't hear news, externally from maybe social media or the press or word of mouth, that we communicate in timely manners to ensure that they're kept up to date at all times. It's also important to create channels so that colleagues can feed up to our senior leadership team, and so that they can, let them know how they're feeling, what's going on in their areas, ask any questions. So we would have a number of different forums to allow that. And of course, a bonus is always to delight and surprise wherever you can. And I'd like to think we've done that a couple of times this year, given the tough year everybody's had. So if you just take a slide back, Adrian. I'm just going to share some of the communication channels and initiatives that we have in place. Some of those were in existence pre-COVID, some have had to evolve over the last 12 months, and some are new. And really, as we adapt to our new working environment, we probably have between 40 and 50 colleagues working in our office here in Carrick and Shannon. And we have, the rest of the team, 200 plus people are all working all around the country. So we've lots of locations to communicate to. The first one I'd like to maybe just touch on is our newsletter. That's a newsletter we've had for a number of years. It's called A Voice, and that is a mix of messages from our senior leaders, business updates, social news, recognition, etc. And we previously did them monthly, but during COVID, we closed the office at the end of March, sent everybody home. Took a little while to get everybody back up and running and with the right technology. We changed that to SMSs twice a day with a landing page just to be able to communicate messages. And then for quite a while we had weekly newsletters. So again, keeping everybody informed. The landscape was changing so rapidly at that time. Probably late on last year, we reverted now to our normal monthly newsletter. We also adapted the content. So, back March, April, May, June, we had a lot more entertainment and uplifting stories, well-being, etc., so that people could just take a break from everything, have a cuppa, and read our newsletter. The other one I'll touch on is camera always on. So again, this is very new for us, and I'm sure most of your organizations as well, working at home on video, the camera's in your house. It's natural to feel, a little bit uncomfortable with that. And as we came up to speed, we did come out with an initiative to encourage everybody to have cameras on. It's so important to maintain that face-to-face communication, whether it's, working collaboratively on a project, or managers doing their wellness one-to-one calls with their direct reports. So important to have that face-to-face communication. I did hear from somebody late last year who works in another contact centre, not a CCMA member, can I just note, and they haven't seen their manager's face since before lockdown, and I was flabbergasted, and I just I couldn't understand it. It's so important to really understand, is somebody really doing okay? The other one is probably a little bit more topical, is right to disconnect. So on the back of the government's code of practice that's been in the news recently, a little while ago we added in our auto email signatures a message. Everybody has it on their email signature to let people know that you're sending an email at a time that suits you, and the recipient can reply whenever they're back online. And actually we saw that on some other companies' email, and we thought it was a great idea, so we borrowed it, and everybody uses it now. So that's it. From a time perspective, I don't have a lot of time to go through. We do our virtual town halls. We would have always done them in the office, everybody together once a quarter. Last year we did them about every 6 weeks or so, and we used Microsoft Teams, either a live meeting or live events. And now we're back to kind of maybe every two months as an opportunity, in particular for all of our colleagues to see and hear, in particular, messages from our CEO, Chris. So on this slide, I won't go into any great detail. On the right is just a snapshot of some of the pages from our March newsletter. You'll see there's a message from Chris. There's some recognition and social news. We had an update on some of the projects. So our rebranding project was a hot topic last month. And then we celebrated, on the back of International Women's Day, we celebrated Women's History Month as well. On the left-hand side, you'll see there our managers are gathered together at the bi-weekly manager forum. And of course, I'm sure a lot of you did innovative, working from home selfie competitions. I think some of these were entered actually in the CCMA competition as well. So so that's just to bring some fun and entertainment. And then finally, I just will share, for me, normally we would have a big event at the end of the year at Christmas, and I'm sure all of you had really, different and innovative solutions to celebrate the end of the year, a tough year, and Christmas. We had a really fun informal town hall just there in December. We sent all our colleagues a nice Christmas hamper to celebrate with their families. Our choir, who are great, previously they would have gone to nursing homes and daycare centres to sing for them. They put together a really heartwarming video where they got everybody who's in the office, everybody at home in their teams, to do a little routine, and they put it to music, and it was really excellent. And to be honest, the first time that we saw the whole organization together, for the guts of a year. So that was amazing. And we also then just finally, we worked with funny man Barry Murphy, and we put together movie, if you like, to share our top stories of the year with a humorous twist. And we screened that at our town hall. Two of the stories I featured there is, of course, celebrating Contact Centre of the Year, and Michael McTague, who I think is watching today, winning Support Professional of the Year. So we both just put a humorous take on some of those stories. And it went down well. It was good fun. So I think that's it. Finally, if you want to bring up the last slide, Adrian, that just has our contact details on it. We want to say thank you for dialing in, taking time out. I know we've gone a couple of minutes over already, Dorothy, so I'll leave it up to you if you want to.
No, you're fine. That was superb, really good. I'll go with 2 quick questions. First from Emma Duffy. Huge congratulations on your improvements on your trust scores over recent years. How do you recognise your staff on a day-to-day basis? Do you use time off or monetary rewards?
I guess it's a mixture. I suppose time off is a challenge in terms of the current pandemic. Struggle that people take holidays. So we use performance-based incentives. We have different programs such as Employee of the Quarter, which is really popular. And we also have recognition in the Voice publication that I just mentioned there. And then simple thank you. So, the power of thank you. We also have online recognition cards. So the different tools we use. Time off, maybe not so much based on the struggle using up holidays, but between monetary and just the simple power of thank you, that's the main recognition tools we would use.
Great, thanks. And then Mary Flynn, who's joining us from Amsterdam, and has said hello. She's from Longford, so she wants to say hello to everybody in Carrick and Shannon, but she makes a great point. She says, great idea to have culture advocates, ambassadors, and not rely on HR. Love how you describe the pandemic as the wind in your sails. Your culture view is very evolved. Like I keep preaching, culture is everything. Great to see corporate responsibility initiatives too. So thanks for that, Mary, and greetings from Carrick and from Kildare to you.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you.
One last question I suppose I would have is in terms of keeping the momentum. You talked about the group that the committee that keep going. Is that self-appointed, or is that people apply, or do you select them? And then how often do you change that group to keep it fresh, I suppose?
It's actually volunteers, Dorothy, so it's very important that's volunteered. We don't appoint anyone as such, so we want to have that diverse network across the business. It's actually been oversubscribed the last number of years. Sometimes we had to we pick one person from one area based on just the sheer volume of nominations. That's how we do it. How we refresh it tends to be anything in a year to 18 months is the general lifespan of the group. It depends on the group if what they want to do. If they want to continue on, then of course they can stay on for longer. But we review it every year and check in with the team and see what they want to do. Great, and I presume that's great exposure for people too, to network with people from different areas, and also just for their career development too. It's fantastic, to be honest. It really is fantastic. A lot of people are a bit siloed in their roles, especially if you work maybe in contact centre. It's a very busy role, really important role, but you may not hear from other parts of the business. So it's a great chance to interact, make new friends as well, to across new contacts, and also develop new skills, be it pulling together proposals to bring to the SLT team. So it is a fantastic enabler in terms of developing a person more holistically as well too. And then Della's last question, in terms of the town halls and communication with everybody that's outside, how have you managed that? I mean, I think you said you've gone to a monthly town hall. Do you do it as one big group? Do you break it out into smaller groups? What's the practicalities of that?
Yeah, we do a mix. We started initially for most of last year using the facility similar to this. It's like a webinar, really. It's Microsoft. We use Microsoft Teams, and it's called a live event. So very similar to a webinar where Chris and some of the senior leaders will present business overviews, and it's video and presentation just like this. So again, a closed audience if you like, and we go out in advance and we collate questions, and we have an FAQ section ready, but we alternate those with just regular Teams events where everybody just logs in. So the live events are automatically recorded, so we invite everybody to one meeting. We probably get maybe 75% attendance, because obviously we can't close our contact centre down. So yeah. Michael McTague actually and his team, they schedule everybody in the following kind of 2-3 days, so everybody gets a scheduled time to look back on that town hall. So it's very important that everybody gets to hear and see what was presented. Then for the more informal meetings, like Christmas, for example, we used a regular Teams event where everybody logged in, videos were on, we had some interaction, so we use a bit of both.
Okay, Brilliant, perfect. I'm conscious we're on to 11:35, so we'll close it out now. But just to say, obviously, recording will be available, presentation will be available. Both your email addresses are up there on the last slide. So if people want to get in touch, I know you genuinely are more than happy to help. And I'm sure when restrictions are lifted, people would love a chance to go and visit Carrick and get out near the water. So we might see before the end of the year, all going well. So thank you so much, Delis and Adrian. Really appreciate your time this morning. Just to remind everybody, we have 2 events next week. I'm just checking them on my phone here. We have a mini conference on Wednesday with ServiceNow that's taking place from 9:30 to 12:30, and that's on the future of work. And we have some great speakers lined up for that. And then this day next week at this time, we have Keen Corbett and Emer, I can't think of her surname, apologies, from AIB, who are going to share their expertise on the whole social side. So it's putting the social back into social media. And as some of you who know may know, AIB have been very successful in our awards in that particular category for a long number of years. So I think there's lots of insights and valuable shared learning in that event too. So hopefully some of you can join us on that. So Delis, Adrian, I hope you get to go out and enjoy a bit of the sunshine now this afternoon. The pressure's off. Thanks so much, and great to see you all, and have a lovely weekend.
No problem. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.